Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this little bit of air there. We are setting up to go live. As I said, I am Carolynn Kearby from the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce and the Appeal Democrat, and I'm at chair of the local. Boy, have I really screwed this one up. Let's start over. Good evening and welcome to the Candidates Forum brought to you by the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce and the Appeal Democrat. My name is Carolynn Kearby and I am the chair of the local government affairs. Tonight we would like to extend a special thank you to Yuba County for the use of their Yuba County Government Center and the staff for their help in securing the facility. The forum will consist of 3 separate races, all with the same format. We will begin with questions and answers with the candidates running for Yuba County Supervisor District 2 and 3. The Appeal Democrat will also feature the questions and answers in their printed publication and online over the next coming days. Thank you for those who have joined us on the live feed. Now I would like to introduce to you two and my past chair of the Government Affairs, Nikki Rogers, who will explain the rules for the forum.
Thank you, Carolynn. Good evening, everyone. Okay, I am the lucky one that gets to explain the rules, so you're going to like this. We're going to start off with Yuba County Supervisors for Districts 2 and 3. District 2 incumbent Don Blaser and Renick House. District 3 Seth Fuhrer incumbent and John Floe. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. Then we'll have a series of questions provided by the committee, members of the audience, and readers of the Appeal Democrat. If you'd like a question to be considered, please raise your hand. Trustee in the back in the yellow shirt back there will have cards available. We do ask that you keep your questions brief and make sure if you do have a question that you address all candidates. We cannot consider questions that are directed to only one candidate. For those of you watching on live stream, make sure that you put your questions in the comment box of the platform you're listening in on, and we will keep an eye out on that. We do have about a dozen questions or so prepared already, so if we don't get to your question, we apologize. We are going to do our very best to get all of them answered. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. Rebuttals will be allowed if there is a reference to a particular opposing candidate in another candidate's answer. Those rebuttals will be allowed for up to 30 seconds. At the end of the questions, each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for a closing statement. No rebuttals will be allowed during closing statements. Candidates, please direct your attention to Jacki Lee, our timekeeper. She has 3 signs, one that says 30 seconds, one that says 15 seconds, and one that says time's up. We do ask that you be respectful of the time and stay within the time limit. Again, thank you for everyone for joining us tonight. We appreciate you coming out to learn more about tonight's candidates. And just like to give a special thank you for those who put tonight's forum on. Robert Summa, Janell Willis, Jacki Lee, Celeste Brown, Ted Langdell, and Ms. Carolynn Kearby. Our moderators tonight are Robert Summa, editor for the Appeal Democrat, and Janell Willis, executive director of the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce. So with that, I will pass it over to Janell and Robert.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi, and welcome. Oh,
Do you have to sit apart?
okay. Usually Bob Harlan is in this spot, but he couldn't make it tonight, so you're stuck with me. And I'll try to do as well as he, but I have no guarantees. So explain the rules. All the questions, just so you know, were developed by the Appeal Democrat Editorial Board, which is a group of about 10 individuals from the community from both Sutter and Yuba County, some past officials, people involved in the community. So I tried to get a better set of questions this year that more reflected the community and their needs. So we'll just go ahead and start. And the format will be, we'll ask one question to one candidate, move down the line, second question to another candidate, move down the line. And if you've seen this before, you know how it goes. So we'll start with Don Blaser, current Yuba County Supervisor, and this question is for all of you, but we'll start with Don. Don, what is improving in Yuba County, and how would you sustain that improvement?
Oh, yes, 90 minutes.
I apologize, like I said. Bob is in charge. Let's do opening statements. We can start with you, John Floe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So thank you, Chamber of Commerce and the Appeal Democrat for hosting this forum. I'm John Floe. My entire adult life has revolved around giving back to the community I love. First through my service in the Air Force, and for the past 30 years through my work providing resources and care for Yuba County's most vulnerable citizens. I'm honored to be endorsed by both former District 3 Supervisors Mary Jane Grego and Doug Lofton. I've served in the Air Force for 23 years. Part of those years was as an SR-71 crew chief. Retiring and settling here in Olivehurst with my wife. Since 1991, I have served as an assistant pastor at True Tabernacle. Since 2014, I've served and I'm currently serving as the OPUD Board of Directors. I hold a master's degree in organizational management. It's critical we elect leaders with proven track record of professionalism, building relationships, and giving back to the community. If elected, I will focus on business development, infrastructure improvements, decreasing crime, increasing participation in neighborhood watch groups, and decreasing homeless and transit activity. I would be honored to serve as your District 3 Supervisor.
Thank you, John. Seth?
My name's Seth Fuhrer. I've been the county supervisor for the last 3 years, and I'm excited about what we've been able to accomplish. Before that, I graduated from Lyndhurst, went down, did my bachelor's degree and law degree while I lived down in Davis, came back up here and ran a successful tax business for the last 20 years. Once I entered the public arena and became supervisor, I have worked to increase affordable housing so that we can reduce homelessness. I've increased the size of code enforcement. When I took office, they were down to a staff of 1 in the year 2021. We are now at a staff of 10, and that's because I made that a priority to fund. We have increased funding also for curbs and gutters. We landed a $48 million grant last month for Olivehurst, and so a third of Olivehurst that is undeveloped is going to be getting finally some stormwater drainage and the safety of sidewalks. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event that's going to improve that area.
Thank you, Seth. Mr. Renick House.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for considering me for Yuba County Supervisor. My name is Renick House. I'm a lifelong Yuba-Sutter resident, born at Fremont Hospital, grew up in Arboga out off Feather River Boulevard. I'm raising my 4 children here with my wife Cynthia, and we've been here our entire lives. I'm a lifelong resident. I worked for Union Pacific Railroad after high school, following a career path I earned in high school as a machinist. Was promoted to supervisor, manager, and operations manager at Union Pacific Railroad over my 10-year career, but I noticed our community was starting to slip away, and I wanted to come home and make some changes. So the last few years, I spent 3 years as a transit manager for Yuba-Sutter Transit and improved our relations there. Managed us all through COVID, was the only business that did not get shut down due to COVID. And that was mostly because of the structure that I had my hands in building. It's really important that everybody here understands that we need representation in our community that's going to keep our community working, going to put the homeless back to work, or heal our ailing people, and it all starts with training. And now my last year I've been serving as a CTE teacher for Yuba County Office of Education, and I'm hoping to broaden that program across the county to give more opportunities and encompass our local unions and our local workforces to put people to work, because Yuba County needs jobs, not homelessness.
Okay, first, thank you for organizing the forum so we can express our views to the public. As a lifelong Yuba-Sutter resident, it has been my honor to be serving as your District 2 Supervisor for the last 3 years and being the current chairman of the board. I was a third-generation farmer and worked with our family farm in Yuba-Sutter and Butte counties for about 15 years. From there, I worked for Yuba City Steel Products, becoming their vice president and controller. In 2003, my wife, Lavina, and I created the Brick Coffee House Cafe. During the coffee house years, I was heavily involved in downtown government. I am past president of the Marysville Business Improvement District and a former board member of the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce. I graduated from UC Davis in Ag Econ. And I feel, based on my experience with agriculture, small business, local government in Marysville, I feel that I have a perfect background to continue to lead as supervisor for our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now we can get started with the questions. So, Yuba County has seen somewhat of a boom the past year, the past few months. Things are certainly trending upward. We had the arrival of Costco, grants that Seth mentioned to improve Olivehurst. So Yuba County is headed in an upward direction, has a lot of momentum, as some would say. How would you continue the positive happenings that are happening in Yuba County?
You're
Starting
starting with
Don.
me?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we have, like you say, an actual boom in Yuba County and Marysville and Yuba Water Agency, so all of them. We have done an outstanding job in business attraction over the past 3 years, rolling out the Yes to Yuba and the Marysville Momentum red carpet to sales generators from a small bakery to Costco. We can do more to help the economy. It would help to push the homeless out of business districts and improve infrastructure to attract more business. One of the keys is you just have to make it easy for your customer to do business with you. So I think it's what we're doing is really good, the infrastructure programs, and I think that we have a really good shot at improving Costco type situations as we go along.
Thank you, Don. Same question for you, then.
So how I hope to maintain what we have going with forward momentum is I want to tie the progress we made in South County and in the other districts into Marysville. Marysville's making some great headway forward in the commercial side, but we need to train our own people to complete the projects that are coming. If the casino has an expansion, it needs to be our people working those jobs. We need to be trained to be able to do those jobs, and we need to bridge our agencies together. We need to leverage our resources. Just in my time working with the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, which is only for a couple of years, I've been able to make contacts and improve things like the Better Way Shelter. Today I was just at a meeting about building showers for them with my help from my career at the Office of Education. Those are the kind of bridges we need to build between Yuba County and Marysville, and the kind of bridges we need to build between employers. Thank you.
You're exactly right. We've had a great boom this last couple of years, and I think we're just going to continue to build on it. As far as Costco, we also brought in the Grocery Food Center in Olivehurst, which I was excited to help with. Businesses, whenever they start, always are going to be bumping into obstacles, and if there's anything we can do at the government level to smooth the way, get them through the red tape, help them jump through those hoops so that they can open, we do so. So that's how I was able to help the Grocery Food Center in Olivehurst. We are talking today with the Yes to Yuba people about another big store that might be coming to our area. Super exciting. Won't have to drive to Yuba City for those materials. Be able to get them here. And that's the sort of thing that I want to see more of. We did a facade in business improvement. So we gave grants to local businesses to improve their exterior to make them more attractive. That sort of thing we're going to continue to do and build on.
Yuba County growth has hit 10.63%, as it was described in the Appeal Democrat newspaper, and talking about the growth. And growth is critical for infrastructure and having that infrastructure planned out. In terms of the South County, I know that we are working currently with, OPUD is working currently with Wheatland to develop some infrastructure and so on, because in order to have building businesses and bringing in businesses and attract them and being prepared for that. We saw the growth that happened with Lincoln after they had their casino put in, and now there's all kinds of growth in Lincoln, between Lincoln and Rockland and Roseville, that you've seen all of those businesses thrive. So the concern is, how are we going to be able to support that through the county? We have 22,000 people living in Linda, 14,000 people living in Olivehurst and West Linda area, so we need more infrastructure to support that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Next, we're going to start with Renick on this one. What's not getting done in Yuba County, and how would you get those things done?
So what's not getting done in Yuba County, we're hiring people from outside of the county for jobs. We have so many homeless people, so many undertrained people in our county, and we're still reaching out and hiring people from outside the county. I went to a new hire orientation at Yuba County Office of Education, and I met with 15 different people from different areas throughout the Bay Area. Those jobs are moderately high-paying jobs that don't take a lot of training to get into, so we need to get our people to work. On top of that, we also need to understand that the water district is a huge leverage for us, right? Our county is rich with resources because of water and power. So one thing that we definitely need to get on lock is we need to have our federal operator's license finished up so that we can move forward with other projects and make our area even more prosperous.
Thanks, Seth. Same question.
So I think that, to me, the one thing that we have not been able to attack successfully is the traffic into Marysville. I think that we need a bypass. Unfortunately, Caltrans has killed a third bridge as an option, and so we are currently building the Goldfields Parkway, but that's a project that under current funding systems will probably be 20 years in the making. And I don't need a solution in 20 years, I need a solution tomorrow. And I know government works slow, but I need it to work faster. And so that is where I think that we need to put some creativity and some elbow grease into, is to find a way to fix the traffic so that there is a smooth flow. It's going to increase business, people are going to enjoy living here, so it improves quality of life in every way. Fixing the Marysville traffic situation is going to make the situation better, and we're going to do that by finding funding for the Marysville bypass. And there are some opportunities with other agencies and working with them, even though the state has not been helpful.
Awesome, thanks, Seth. John?
It's critical for us to figure out the public safety and public protection aspect of what's going on in terms of traffic and flow of traffic for those of us that were stuck in traffic for 3 to 4 hours during the crisis of the Olivehurst Dam, and whoever they are, who are taking care of the Olivehurst Dam, and the lack of making sure that that dam was able to handle the loads of what it had and was occurring, and seeing the spillway rot away and so on during that crisis. And it would have been catastrophic had that dam had busted. So concern with Yuba County Water Agency, making sure a dam's safe, making sure that we have a good avenue of being able to, for people to be able to get out of this area quickly in time of an emergency, especially during flooding. I was here for the 86 flood and the 97 flood, and I saw what happened during the issue with the dam.
Thank you, John. Dawn?
So hopefully Caltrans will be working with Yuba County, Marysville, and Wheatland for a plan to lower the impact of the traffic. Wheatland has 2 traffic plans in discussion. The East Parkway and the Wheatland Bypass are both in early design. Decades ago, Caltrans scrapped any plans for a Marysville bypass, and they gave us no hope that that's going to happen. In the meantime, they have increased capacity of both Highway 70 and 20 right up to the city limits of Marysville. We're just kind of the target of those various highways. Options to move traffic through the city are very limited, but some may exist. Yuba County has plans to construct the Goldfields Parkway, which could run from McGowan all the way to 20 and then all the way to 70. We think that by the end of 24, it could be complete from Earl Road to Hamilton-Smartsville, and that should help a little.
Thank you, Don. This next question is going to be a bit complicated because half of it's for incumbents, half of it's going to be for non-incumbents, but we're going to start with an incumbent, Seth Fuhrer. As an incumbent, what would you do differently in another term to better serve the people in your district?
So what would I do differently? I guess I need to be down in Sacramento more trying to get the directors of agencies to push that grant money our way. We did a fantastic job. I think I saw Dave Peterson earlier in the audience with landing a $20 million grant last year for West Linda and a $48 million grant this last month for Olivehurst. But obviously there's a lot of money in Sacramento, and creating a situation where we can have access to that money. I spent most of my time, I think, this term working here in the local area, and I think that I probably need to go to where the money's at and get that to flow in this direction.
Thank you, Seth. John, as a non-incumbent, each of the incumbent supervisors have already served at least one full term in office and gained experience with how local and regional government works. Why should voters replace an experienced representative in your district?
I feel that some of the things that I bring to the table is that I have been actively involved for the past 17 years with behavioral health in terms of being a program manager and providing services to both in the schools, nonprofits, local nonprofits, and so on. And some of the other things that I've been involved in is as a first 5 Yuba commissioner, we were able to use our funding to be able to provide family resource centers that were located right in the community, which was a great strength. There's a lot of experiences that I have with the various committees that I currently serve on and have served on that will be able to bring people together. I'm about bringing people together, not pushing people away from each other. I'm about collaboration and making sure that we do that. It's critical to be able to work together on various projects. No one person can do it all, and you need to be a team player.
Thank you, John. Don, as an incumbent, what would you do differently in another term to better serve the people in your district?
What I keep getting back to is just trying to get things back to basics. We've strayed off the path on so many different issues. I'd like to see a general improvement of quality of life, being able to enjoy a stress-free visit, for example, to Ellis Lake. This isn't anything really different, but we're working towards it. And not having to worry about your neighbor's code violations, that seems to be an aggravation all the time. So code enforcement, I think we really need to ramp that up a little more. We should have safe access to all of the county's natural venues and connecting our walkways and bike paths to both sides of the river. We've had some conversations on that. All the jurisdictions are in line on wanting to do something like this, and that's something we'd really like to do. So in the long run, we feel Marysville should be a destination, what I call a Hallmark town. So I don't know if any of you have watched Hallmark movies, but it drives me kind of nuts because you see these pristine little towns, and I don't know why we can't be another Hallmark town.
Thank you, Don. Right. Why should voters replace an experienced representative in your district?
They should replace an experienced representative with me because I'm going to hit the ground running. Our county needs to connect with Marysville. We need to understand that the issues that are in Marysville go throughout the entire county. The leverage that we have in our county with the water department, Yuba Water, it also includes Marysville. It's not just a prosperity piece for the county, it's for Marysville as well. So with my help, I hope to be at every single meeting and be a productive part to bring up, what about Marysville? What about District 10? Why not bypass Marysville? Why bring more construction traffic through District 10? Why widen the highways? Push every single meeting, every single time for what about Marysville? What about District 10? What about West Linda? Not go with the status quo and say yes to everything and trust our managers, but to question and represent the people. And that's what we need to do. Thank you.
John, it'll be you. Are you ready? How would you help prevent homelessness in Yuba County, and where would you allocate funds to achieve that goal?
I currently serve on the Continuum of Care Homeless Board for Sutter Yuba and have since working with the homeless since 2007. When I began in 2007, we had absolutely no funding for homeless services programs, and as it developed, we really needed to also figure out a comprehensive way of tracking homelessness as people go through that experience and being able to get them into services. So from that time to this time. We have about $3 million with the COC currently for funding, and also, we've been working on a lot of different projects that have been mentioned already. 14 Forward, Life Building Center, Hands of Hope, Better Way, and so on. We have a lot of great programs, that's great, but one of the things that we do not have is dealing with truancy and dealing with people that are committing crimes due to homelessness. We have to be able to figure that out to protect our businesses and to protect those that are around about us.
Thank you. Don?
Okay, well, I see the homeless crisis mainly affected by housing, behavioral health in particular, and the court system. Those three items are the ones I mainly see. The demand for affordable housing is about 10 times the capacity. I think when we started Cedar Lane, it had 104 family units, and the backlog was 1,700. The East Lake one, I think the capacity was 70, and we had about 800 on the waiting list, something like that. Behavioral health care has many barriers to take such as the rejection of care. So we call it a DS population. They're declining services. That's a big issue. There's lack of facilities, waiting to get service, and general lack of funding. As far as the court system, the recent propositions such as Proposition 47 and 57 have indirectly contributed to creating high barriers for homeless to access much needed treatment.
Thank you, Don. Renick?
Yeah, the homeless issue is a multifaceted issue, right? But it all starts with providing good jobs for our people, hiring locally, getting people off the street. We don't need to treat the effects of homelessness. We need to treat the people that are going into homelessness. We need youth to complete programs in high school and go on to be productive members of society. We need our underemployed residents to step up and open up those jobs for the people to step into out of homelessness, right? We need to start progression. Leveraging all of our county assets all the time is what's going to help us improve homelessness. If we can offer these high-paying jobs to our local people, they can buy better houses, right? Their low-income housing that they moved out of provides new housing for people that are homeless. It's a cycle, right? We don't have to keep building additional housing. We need to make a cycle that improves the life of all of our people in the county and in the city. And we also need to enforce our laws and keep our businesses safe and accessible by our families. All those things are going to improve our area and address homelessness.
Thank you. Seth?
We need a multi-pronged attack. So we need psychiatric rehab hospitals. We need more space in prisons. So there's lots of things that we need. There's things that are outside of the county's control to do, unfortunately. So the things that we have to do here is we can increase the number of housing units. So Cedar Lane was mentioned, 150 units there. Habitat partnered and took a hotel and converted it to apartments behind Burger King and Linda, added 60 units there. They're going to be building another facility in Olivehurst, another 100 units there. So we're going to be creating units so that provides housing to get people off the street. Another important element that's going to be happening is the Boise decision is what's caused a lot of the turmoil that we suffer from currently. And that is that people can sleep wherever they want and the cops can't chase them off under certain conditions. So that is being challenged at the Supreme Court level, and hopefully that decision will get changed and modified so that there is the ability to deal with the homelessness that causes vandalism, causes blight, and causes other problems.
Thank you, Seth. All right, this next question will start with Don. Marysville is preparing to ask voters in November if they would support the extension of Measure C, a 1-cent general sales tax that funds vital city services and something that officials have gone so far as to say that the city would not survive without. Will you be taking a position on this possible measure? Please explain why or why not.
Well, anytime you mention tax, that's pretty sensitive. The reality is that Marysville doesn't have a lot of sources for income. We're surrounded by levies. We do have a chance to develop some more tax-generating businesses, so that's going to help. I'm kind of afraid that we are going to have to try to consider extending that tax. Yeah.
Thank you, Don. Same question for you, Renick.
So for me, this was a fix-it or a timing issue, right? So We didn't have the means to fix an issue, so we raised taxes, right? I am against all tax increases. I would let this one expire unless somebody can convince me otherwise, and that's the communities, the constituents all come out and voice that they want to see this. But right now we have people that can't get food. They can't afford to pay their bills. They can't afford their property taxes. They're going delinquent. I got a notice today that there's going to be some property up for sale by Yuba County, right? On tax liability. There's a whole lot of that going on. Nobody's getting higher wages at this point. Inflation's out of control. Taxes are not going to improve this for any of us, and it's not going to fix the problem. It's going to put us up on stilts for a little while, right? On crutches, but it's not a long-term fix. So no on taxes, right? No tax increase, no extension. Let's fix this problem. Let's take these businesses that we've put into town and let's fix our access and safety and get these people shopping in Marysville and working in Marysville. Thank you.
Thank you, Renick. Seth?
So the simple answer is I'm usually no on taxes and no on bonds, and it's because about stewardship. There's a lot of money that flows through government's hands, and we're not always the best stewards. We're not always frugal. You see a lot of waste. And so we need to find a way to take the resources that we already have and use them more wisely. So measure twice, cut once, and then move forward and build, right? So I would be opposed to almost any tax, anytime. And just to give credit to the other side, there's always a good intention for a tax or a bond. Somebody's going to get help somewhere. The problem is that government isn't the most efficient person at solving problems. You can have private enterprise usually do it for a third of the price. So it's only when there is a complete failure from other sources that you need the government to step in and provide that service. So,
thank you, Seth. John?
Tax increases, especially at the time right now that we have our economic situation that it is in, higher gas prices, higher prices for food. It breaks my heart to know that we have seniors that are going homeless because they can't afford to pay their rent or also to be able to afford their property and maintaining their property and so on. Tax increases are just never a good idea in terms of the economic situation that we're in currently, or any time for that matter. As I believe that we have other means and other ways of being able to look at what we're currently spending, where's the money going, and managing our budgets accordingly.
So before we move on to the next question, thank you, John. I just want to clarify one thing and make sure the public understands. The question was about Marysville Measure C, which is already in place. Should that tax go away, city officials have raised alarms that the city itself could go away. Should that happen, residents in Marysville would still be paying the same 1 cent tax that is currently levied in Yuba County. I feel that was important to make sure people understood.
Thank you. Our next question actually comes from the audience, and Renick, will start with you. Our last senior activity center in Yuba County closed after the seniors were forced from their meeting place. Would you as a supervisor be willing to dedicate your time and county resources to get a senior center up and running in Yuba County again?
Yeah, that's super important. So our seniors built this town, right? Our seniors sustained it and we took it over, okay? So it is important to have these commissions like the Commission on Aging, right? These commissions sat empty. It's an election year, right? They're full now, but look 6 months ago, look at the history. These commissions sat empty. Our supervisors let these commissions, for commissions on aging especially, sit empty. We got a new guy by the last name of Rico that is from my district that's stepping up into a role there, right? And hopefully we can utilize those assets and these local people to revamp how we take care of our senior citizens and put the same amount of effort for them forward as we do for homelessness and as we do for the young working class people. Our youth see how we take care of our seniors, right? And that's how they're going to take care of us as well. So that's a lesson we need to teach our youth as well. So thank you.
Seth?
So I absolutely would love to see a senior center. I specifically want to see a senior center in Olivehurst. And coupled with that, I also want to see a youth center there as well. In fact, I spoke with a gentleman that I'm hoping to convince to use part of his facility for that this morning. And I went and toured another facility last week. So I absolutely want that. The problem is, of course, three-pronged. We need to have people to staff it, we need to have money to maintain it, and we have to have a building. And that was the problem that happened with the previous one, is they lost their building, and then they didn't have the people working together to keep it going. So we might find the people and volunteers, but we still have to have those funds to make this to purchase the supplies and keep it going. And we, most importantly, have to get a building. So if anyone in Olivehurst knows of a location for a senior youth center, please contact me. I would be very excited to make that happen.
Thank you. John?
Our seniors are our greatest asset, and for them to not have a place to meet, it's just so important for that to happen. Area 4 Agency on Aging, we did have one in Olivehurst for a period of time. There's a pharmacy, I believe, in that building now. It used to belong to the Yuba County Office of Ed building, and then things went awry, and then that particular program closed. A lot of other things that they can provide is Meals on Wheels programs, groups, and so on. And I think that it's really important for the communication, bringing them together and being able for them to meet and have a place to meet together and strengthen them in that way as well. I think it's really important for that to happen.
Thank you. Don?
Senior centers have been a topic of conversation in a lot of our different committees. The last time we talked, I think it was maybe with Health and Human Services. We thought we had a place, but there's a lot of things that have to happen. It has to be easy for transportation. I think the problem they ran into mainly was trying to get a central group to talk to and see who was going to be representing the senior center. But there's no doubt that everybody wants to do that. It's a matter of finding the right place and the right location and identifying the group that is going to help run it.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right, let's circle back. This one's going to be for Seth. Let's circle back to traffic. Traffic, homelessness, crime, housing, those are typically the biggest issues in this area. You mentioned a highway bypass that has been talked about forever, I guess it feels like. Have you worked on developing a bypass? If you have or have not, in the meantime, what will you do to resolve increased traffic complaints among residents?
So I have. I, in fact, am one of 7 votes at the Water Agency, and I have asked repeatedly that we find a way to bring funding over in a way that can help us do via emergency routes and evacuation, or whether it's a bridge, to bring funding from that agency via Yuba County if they lend it and we borrow it. The issue is, of course, repaying that loan because the impact fees aren't sufficient. But how are we going to do it? I'm absolutely always looking for funding. I talked to a gentleman who worked at Caltrans and a different gentleman who used to work at Caltrans. If we build this bypass, and can we have them appropriate the bypass as the new highway and release the current highway? And so there's a lot of options out there, and I explore them with everyone I can because they tell me the third bridge is a pipe dream and I should stop talking about it. But I absolutely would like to see us resolve the traffic issue.
Thank you, Seth. John?
Caltrans is saying that they have a plan for expanding our Highway 70-65 into 3 lanes, but then funneling it into the bridge that we currently have, which is a very poor idea. Nothing is going to happen unless we actually have a plan. There has to be an environmental study. There has to be a plan in terms of what land and usage we're going to be able to have that bypass take place, and then have funding to be able to do it. Currently, I don't believe there's any of that happening right now.
Thank you. Don?
Well, we talked about traffic already a little bit, but Caltrans, I'd like to have 2 new bridges, one on the north and one on the south, one from 70 to 99, and then one from 70 over to Yuba City. It's a want. It's also a need. I'm not sure what support we're getting from, well, Caltrans is very difficult. So when I met with them one time, talking about the improvement on 70 coming into Marysville, I said, okay, you're going to go to 14th Street. Where are you going after that? That's where the ballpark is. No plans. They are dumping the traffic right there. So it's the same thing on all four sides of Marysville, it just gets dumped off the highways. So next week I'm meeting with SACOG, their executive director of operations next week, and see if there's any help coming from them. It's kind of shaky whether they're going to help us at all, but it's a massive problem and nobody seems to have a good solution.
So answer to the question for me is that I'm a teacher right now, right? So I'm not formally on any of these agencies for this, but a causeway is a lot cheaper than a bridge, right? A partially open seasonal causeway between Ella Avenue and South Yuba City would alleviate some traffic and expedite traffic over toward the casino area as well. There's multiple other places that have been looked at. When my time as a transit manager, we looked at places where we could relieve traffic. And the options for bridges would be great, but a causeway that's seasonal, like Ramirez Road and Simpson Lane, where you have a small overpass over a water structure, then that's more achievable. So I think we need to shift our thinking. We haven't been able to do the third bridge for generations. Let's build a causeway. Let's build across the river. Let's not build across the levees. Come on, guys. It's not rocket science. Let's do this. All right? Thank you.
We'll start with John on this one. How does a big corporation like Costco help the local small business? It actually hurts them. This is in the audience, I say. How about you support growth of small biz? Tell us how you will.
Small business is what made America great. We have all of these different wonderful restaurants locally owned. We have wonderful businesses locally owned, and all of that. And it's critical to have local businesses and making sure that we're supporting them. I know the Chamber of Commerce, that's a mission that they have, supporting our local businesses. I understand the feeling of Costco coming in and impacting things, and that's, when we saw, I'm sure this is something that was seen, we had Marysville Plumbing, leave, because we had Lowe's and we had Home Depot come in. So there's those kinds of concerns and balancing things out. And that's why I think that's so important for us to have an economic plan to be able to look at how businesses are coming in, how we're supporting our local businesses to make sure that they thrive, because they really are the backbone of America.
Thank you, John. Don?
Well, obviously I'm a product of small business, a champion of small business. It's a tough business. I don't care what business you're in, but if you're in small business, it's really hard. And if pressure's coming from all directions, labor in particular, cost of goods, then government mandates, it's just one thing after the other. As to the effect of Costco, there's pluses and minuses. When Costco comes in, they created, 200 new jobs, I think, something like that. So you've got 200 families now with income, with benefits. It depends on the business. Now, restaurant doesn't affect us. It's hard to compete with $1.50 hot dogs, but it doesn't affect us that much, I don't think. So in the long run, I think it's a positive for the county.
Thank you. Renick?
So I'm running on responsible growth. That's one of the key features I'm running on. So part of that is making planning decisions in advance of the large corporations coming in. So when we have a Costco come in, we already have an ironed out plan of how we can support other businesses that might be affected by Costco. So you set money aside, you budget for different programs to help revamp those mom and pop shops that are going to be affected by Costco. You hope that everybody elevates, right? You hope that they can save some money on buying supplies, and the restaurants will do better because they save some transportation cost of goods, things like that. And we want the growth, but it has to be responsible. So we definitely need to have those place marks in our budget for what are we going to do to boost these local businesses and how we can help them with advertising and have these campaigns set up before Costco gets in and shuts them down. It does affect our local businesses, I agree with that, but we need that growth. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Seth?
I am a small business owner, and so obviously that issue is very close to my heart. How do we promote small businesses? I'm all about that. So the $15,000 facade grants that I mentioned earlier, we as a county gave free money to businesses to improve their appearance. That's how you help businesses. They need stimulus, we gave them a stimulus. Also, we make their job easier by easing the regulations. The less government regulations they are, the more successful people can be. So we have to get out of their way and limit how much we interfere with them operating and doing business. That's how we got the businesses that we do at the Airport Industrial Park. That's how I helped the Olive Hearst Food Center, and that's how I help any business I can. I was at a new Persian food place in Linda that opened up, that's opening up, and they're having hurdles. How do we do this? What steps do we need to take? So I went immediately and talked to our community development. What can we do to help these people? Hold their hand, get them through the process, let them be successful. I don't want to see empty business buildings. I don't want to see a commercial district that's blighted. I want to see successful, thriving community.
Thank you.
So this next question, we'll start with Don, and this will be the last question before closing statements. If you're not aware, as a Yuba County Supervisor, they are automatically on the Yuba Water Agency Board, which does produce power, but it sells it wholesale. As all of us know, our power bills just keep going up. I don't know when it will end, but they just keep going up. And there's been talk about developing a county or regional power provider. So we'll start with Don. Should Yuba Water Agency support the development of a local 2 or 3 county municipal power provider with Yuba County as one of the partners?
It has been a topic of discussion. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's something that is going to really develop, it's taken a lot of research. Now, I can say it's not something that we've discarded. It is something that is a viable project, possibly, but I cannot speak for the water agency. I can just say that, yes, it is under consideration, but there's so many details involved in something like that. But in the long run, there may be a possibility for a power reduction, but it's a long, involved process, and there's so many players involved. But they haven't discarded it. They are talking about it.
Thank you, Don. Renick?
Yeah, I've met with Willie at the water agency. I've met with the folks with the Yuba River Endowment. I've met with the farmers that need the water. I've met with the staff that operate our power plant and our city administrator, our county administrator. And the outlook is good, right? We have this energy that we sell at a profit. Now the thing is we have to meet certain standards for that and for how we use that money from our county-owned asset, right? So we need to make that fit. We need to make it happen. So there's no reason why a county like ours can't finish our federal operating permit, our FERC license. There's no reason our county can't become the next SMUD and offer a reduced rate power utility. It's not something that I can guarantee would happen, right? None of these guys can. It takes a whole board. But I can guarantee you that that'll be a conversation at every meeting that I'm at of how we can make something that our county owns, an asset of our people, how we can help share that profit and help keep food on the table for our families. Thank you.
So it's called a Community Choice Aggregate, I believe, CCA, and I don't know that we're looking at it for multiple counties. I think that we're looking at it for Yuba County, and that's something that we've absolutely explored, and I'm excited to see what we can do with it. PG&E is skyrocketing. People do struggle to put food on the table and keep the lights on at the same time, and being able to reduce their bill would be fantastic. Because of the way PG&E's rate structure works, it might only end up being a 15% cut in the bill, let's say. But when you get an $800 bill, that's still substantial, right? So it's not a magic wand or a bullet, but it will certainly help people, and it is certainly something that I am in favor of looking at to see what we can do to help every citizen and resident in Yuba County with the boon that we have from Bullard's Bar.
Thank you, Seth. John?
I know that the full board would need to determine that on the direction that they would go. But I do believe that having Willie as their director, he has experience with working with power plants, and I think you have the right leader in the right position to guide the board And also, I believe that it's really important for them to be able to do a study as to how this will all roll out. Because right now, you know, until it rolls out, until you have that in place, you're not going to really know how that's going to impact and the impacts that it'll have once you be able to look at specifically how that is going to hit our whole county in terms of savings and so on. So I think it really needs to have a study to be able to determine that prior to moving it out, but that sounds like it's a direction that a lot of people would like it to go.
Thank you, John. Thank you, gentlemen. So let's move to closing statements. We started with John. Let's start the finishing with John. Go ahead, John.
Sorry. No worries. I promise you it'll be under 2 minutes.
Our timer is amazing, people.
We are ready.
Go ahead.
Again, thank you, Chamber of Commerce and the Appeal Democrat for hosting this forum. I'm glad for all those that were here to participate and listen in, and for all those online that are listening as well. That's fantastic. One of my favorite quotes is, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others." I'm John Floe again. My entire adult life has revolved around giving back to the community, which I love. Through my service in the Air Force, as a pastor, as an elected OPUD board member, and for the last 17 years leading a team of professionals at Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health, managing behavioral health, substance abuse, and homeless services programs. I'm honored again to be endorsed by both former District 3 Supervisors, Mayor Jane Grego and Doug Lofton. In the Air Force, our core values is integrity, first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I have actively strived every day to continue to embody those values in my actions. My other favorite quote is, "Integrity means you are the same in public as you are in private." It is critical we elect supervisors with a proven track record of professionalism, building relationships, and giving back. I would be honored to serve as your next District 3 supervisor.
Thank you, John. Seth Fuhrer.
I'm going to run on my record. I'm very excited about what we've accomplished. $20 million grant last year for West Linda curbs and gutters, $50 million this year, last month, for curbs and gutters for Olivehurst, opening businesses, facade grants to improve businesses, increasing code enforcement from one officer to 6 officers, 2 labor support, and 2 sheriff deputies to assist them, so a staff of 10. Increasing housing, the 60 units with Habitat that they did, and another 100 units in the pipe. I'm just excited about what we've accomplished. Moving the needle is the hardest part in government. Government measures everything in periods of 5 and 10-year increments, and so being able to do so much in so little time, I want to continue to build on that and do even more.
Thank you, Seth. Renick House.
Thank you, Mr. Summa, and thank you, Appeal Democrat and Chamber of Commerce, for having us here tonight. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all of you. I understand that we're a community that's in need, right? Nobody really talks about, they talk about how great the county's doing, but they don't really talk about how the consumer's doing, how the families are doing, how the households are doing. We have lots of people on the brink of homelessness. We have lots of people in homelessness, living at the river bottoms, living in vehicles. We need to provide opportunities in our county, and I'm so excited that we can do that while we solve these other problems. We can build our bypass, right, or our causeway across the river. We can do that with local labor, local jobs, putting people to work, build relationships with our unions, build relationships with our employers that provide. The county can provide different types of contracts where they award not on just value of the contract, right? Not to the lowest bidder, but to the person who's going to do the most for the community. There's lots of opportunities. We could take those contracts and we could say you have to hire 50% workforce from a local workforce, or we could say that you're awarded more points for hiring people out of programs that came from homelessness. We need to elevate our people. Every family needs to elevate, not just the ones that are struggling. The ones that are doing fine in middle class, you need to be elevated too, right? So somebody can jump into your middle class slot. We need to move up, Yuba County. We need to take action. That's what I want to do for you. I'm almost 39 years old. I've got a long life ahead of me for making our county awesome, right? And a lot of decisions that we can make as a team with the Yuba County Board of Supervisors that can improve all of our prosperity. We can stop bragging about how great Yuba County is doing financially and start bragging about how great our people are doing. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Renick. Don Blaser.
So Yuba County is currently in a very enviable position with a balanced budget and being one of the fastest growing counties in the state and having rapidly developing retail and commercial business opportunities. Marysville has changed from having potential to having momentum. Most recent new business is a Hyatt Hotel, the Dutch Brothers, Antonio's Quick Lunch, a potential new grocery store, and about 6 new small downtown stores that look very encouraging. The Training Zone Gym is close to opening their new location. The ballpark has become one of the best in the league with a new team. Ellis Lake is on the verge of becoming the gem of a focal point that the city richly deserves. Yuba County Water Agency is a critical part of the Yuba County success. As a board member, I have seen firsthand the incredible financial support that the agency has given to all of the county citizens. Their mission is, we are committed to the sustainable management of our water resources for flood risk reduction and reliable water supply, enabled through their power generation in support of the environment and quality of life for our communities. This agency, I just can't even tell you enough how they support the county. With everything being said, we still have to be cautious and conservative. As a supervisor, I am a director on over 20 committees. This is not unusual for supervisors. They represent a wide range of subjects from doctors to air quality to aging and food insecurity, which is really an up-and-coming serious problem. There is a common thread running through them, which is how to deal with the latest government mandates and laws. As a conservative representative of the private sector and my constituents, I am constantly trying to help resolve these issues. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Don. And thank you, candidates, for taking part. Really appreciate it. It's what democracy is all about. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching at home, watching later. And that's it. Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute break before the candidates come up. The Yuba County Water will be next.